What's going on, guys, and welcome back. Here's another boost video. So we're going to dedicate this one just to suspension. And if you guys watched my initial overview, I let you guys know that they are very soft, and we had a feeling that they were going to be on the soft side. And I got with Bruce, and pretty much what we're going to do in this video is try and make these things work as best as they can with what components come with the sled. So no other springs, no other valving, no nothing. And yes, we will have recommendations at the end of the video, but we're going to try and get them to work just as they come from the factory. So we have our man Bruce here.
Hey guys.
A little in the sun. And we have my boost. We have his XCR. So that thing is beautiful. That's perfect. We did a ton of work on that last year, but this year, right now, we're working on just the boost. So Bruce is going to kind of overview what we're going to do and what direction we're going to do, and see if we get it to work. We actually have a trail right there the sled's riding right now that is got a pretty good rhythm section, or stretch of bumps right there. So we have a facility right here. So
yeah, it works good. Yeah guys, I think we just tried it out the way it came out of the box, and yes, through that stuff there, it's good packed powder, the nice snow that you want to find. And it is a little teeter-tottery, because it's a little soft in the front, a little soft in the back, so it's hinging in the center. So we're going to go and, we're going to crank the springs up in the front, 3/8 or 1/2 inch. We'll bump the springs in the rear. We definitely are going to work on those rear blocks that we talked about in the other video, where we have the 4 positions now for the rear scissor stop block. Comes in 3, and now we're going to go, I want to go back to 2 at least, because that's high, like we were used to.
Right, high used to on an XCR or a standard VR1 or anything from the past.
And then we'll go to the 4, which is territory we've never been in before, as far as feeling that transfer and that kind of thing. And then start obviously twisting in clickers, and on these shocks, these velocities, it does make more difference. Obviously, the further you go, the more difference it makes. But it's like the biggest percentage is the last few clicks. Mm-hmm. So we'll work our way to there.
Right. So when you said on the front you wanted to go 3/8 or 1/2 inch, so what are we talking about here?
Commonly, you can turn these. If you're jack it up is easier. But when you basically cranking the spring down, when they come in, there's no gap between anything, because you've got the lock, which is this lock, which locks the bridge from the factory, and then you've got a lock that locks the spring nut. So you can spin this down and have like 3/8 of a gap of threads, or a 1/2 inch gap of threads. So that's giving you that 3/8 more or 1/2 inch more of preload. And in the book on these, you can go, I'm pretty sure it's pretty close to 1 inch as far as their variance, as far as what free length they would want of that spring. So we're going to creep up on it, because commonly I don't like to go like 3/4 or 1 inch, because the rate doesn't change on the spring. You're only changing the preload. So it will pick the front of the sled up to make it turn better. But as far as going through the bumps and hitting something hard and going through the travel, you're not changing the rate of the spring. You're, at that point, the rate is what you got, which these are 80 pounders. So we'll set the preload up again, like I said, so that it picks the nose up, and because that's what we like. We like the nose to be up a little higher, so that we take a little weight off the front of the track, and then it wants to turn better because it's turning from the rear and the front, not so much in the center.
Right.
So, and it doesn't hinge on the center of the sled, which is kind of what it feels like it's doing right now. So we'll definitely do that, and then we'll flip springs up in the rear because they're on medium. That's what they come on. And then we'll fool around with those transfer blocks, because again, that is mostly transfer, but it does affect how it goes through the travel. Because if you look at that other video, the sooner that lower rear torque arm hits that block, the sooner it starts using the spring. So it's using the front track spring and those 2 rear springs. So the sooner it does that, the stiffer it is to begin with. And like I said, that number 4 is way uncharted territory. So see what it feels like.
All right, so we're gonna put some preload in, crank the springs to high, and try it there. as I was editing this, I realized that I don't know where the footage went from our first session. So first test was increased preload on the front springs and torsion settings on the highest. And it did make it much better. It turned better. It held the front end up, and that's what we're seeing a lot with the stock setup, is the front end's just not staying up enough, especially because we have 20 extra pounds now sitting right over those front springs. It's really diving that nose, and it's really making everything feel extremely soft. So first test, again, extra preload, like around a heavy 1/2 inch on the front spring, so you crank them down, and then torsion settings on high. And then we went and started messing with clickers. So we went all the way in and then 2 or 3 out, and that's what Bruce is now talking about. All right, guys, so we made a few changes, and Bruce is going to walk us through kind of what we did and what we felt.
Well, now with this second change here, we're 2 out from stiff on all the clickers. So all the way in, 2 clicks out, and then we won that second round there previously. We put a 1/2 inch of preload in the front shocks, springs, and we got the rear torsions on high. So it's definitely stays up more, goes through the bumps better, turns better. It doesn't hinge in the center as much. So it definitely needs that, just that uptick in everything to make it feel firmer and turn better through. And again, the snow right now is actually pretty good snow. So I think, with what you're dealing with what you get from the factory, everything needs to be close to all the way in, about a 1/2 inch preload in the front. And then again, it depends on your weight. But we're like 180 pounds. I don't know. Jesse might be a little more than that right now. And we're up on high in the rear, and with stock rear torsion spring. So,
And now we're just for fun, for our own viewing, is going to check out the rear coupler blocks. It's on 3 now, like we said, and we're going to put it up to 4 and see what that does.
Yeah, because 3, it definitely is flatter than something that doesn't have those blocks when you take off. But we're going to go back to 2, which is like high of normalness, and then we're going to go to 4, which is way out from where we've ever been.
All right, guys, so it did get very dark out when we were trying to finish this up, so I figured I'd close it out here. The coupler block, what a huge difference it makes. And it's exactly what me and Bruce anticipated it feeling like, and it was exactly what it did feel like. Literally, anytime you tried to get your skis up, it would just plant them right back down. When you have that coupler block set on the highest setting, it's also going to help with stiffness, kind of as Bruce touched upon, because it's helping it get into those springs quicker. So coupler blocks do exactly what they do. I'm interested to see when we start getting some stiffer springs in and some heavier valving, what they're going to feel like. They may not feel that great once we do that. So I'm very interested to see kind of what that does. But for a stock sled, no changes whatsoever in springs and valving and everything. You're gonna want, and again, Bruce is like 180, 85. I'm closer to 200 now. I haven't eaten too many Oreos or chips and salsa, as Bruce says. But you're gonna wanna put, at least a ½ inch of preload in the front springs to get that front of the sled to stay up a little bit. You're gonna wanna be almost all the way in on your clickers, and those torsion blocks are definitely gonna be on high. And to help increase that or get into those springs sooner, you're gonna want that coupler block on 4. Obviously, it's gonna push those skis down and it's not gonna be as playful, but it's going to handle the bumps better. Obviously, as we get into this more, we're gonna be changing springs, we're gonna be changing valving in the shocks. I think we're gonna just do a video. I think I'm just gonna put heavy duty rear torsion springs on and see what that does. Just so if guys want to like, hey, I don't want to pull this off and that off, they could just put these heavy duty torsion springs on, which we know they're gonna help. I just want to know how much they're gonna help and try and give you guys a setup based on that. So I hope that helps a lot. I know this is a little frustrating because you guys are buying these sleds and then we're still recommending that, you do XYZ and, don't shoot the messenger. We're just here to try and get you guys to enjoy your riding experience as much as you possibly can. We know the season's short and we know that it comes and goes in a blink of an eye. So we want you guys to enjoy your time on the sled as much as possible, which is what we're doing here. So I hope this helps a lot of you. I'm obviously here to answer questions. Put them down in the comments, shoot me a message on Facebook or Instagram, whatever you need to do, and I will get back to you. And that's going to do it, guys. So make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to go to 322threads.com and get your merch like this hat. And I'll see you guys in the next one.